Welcome to Charlie and Terry Talk About Things Trivial and Crucial.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome once again to Charlie and Terry Talks. He's Terry, I'm Charlie, and this is our famous podcast.
It's the podcast that our wives won't even watch.
What should we call? I don't know. That's a vote of confidence for sure. Anyhow, our last podcast, I think we talked a little long. I got a TLDNW message from one of our most ardent fans. That is too long, did not watch.
You mean one of the two fans we have?
At least two, anyway. So I think we ought to introduce our topic, and then we'll kind of kick it off. Today we are talking about Pluto. That is the almost planet.
The former planet.
Former planet. Maybe a planet to be. Who knows? And I see you have your Pluto shirt on there.
Yes, I do.
That's Revolve in Peace. So we thought that might be a little different topic today from some of the earlier things that we've talked about. But before we get into it, I think we owe our sponsor from last week kind of a do-over, since maybe some people actually missed this fabulous device here. And that's the Roto-Wipe. And this thing, inflation is it showing up there? I think it's kind of in focus. Anyhow, inflation is really kind of still out there. And this is a money-saving device that says here that families spend about $284 a year on toilet paper, and this one device can pay for itself.
Is that one ply or two plies?
Well,
it doesn't say.
It doesn't really say, okay? And it says that it got a 5-star rating here, and the Roto-Wipe is 5 stars, the shower is 4, and off the bottom of the elm and the maple leaf, that only gets 1 star.
Well, what's worse is poison ivy leaves.
Well, I never even thought about that. But it says it's 2,700 gentle RPM, so you know that you're going to be clean. And our Roto-Wipe sponsor is offering now a special deal. You buy 2, and you get the Roto-Wipe, portable Roto-Wipe, which is normally sold separately. You get it free when you buy 2 of these. So, don't hesitate. Send in your orders now. So I think that's we've done justice to.
Yeah, well, I understand the Roto-Wipe. Yeah. The Roto-Wipes actually hit a new bottom in the toilet paper.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah. Well, toilet paper's going to hit a new bottom.
Yeah, I think so.
No bottom. There's no bottom in the future. So here we are. Back to Pluto, our topic of the day, and I think we owe our viewers some kind of a little introduction and explain why is this so interesting?
Well, because Pluto was once, they were looking for this planet. They found what they thought was another planet, and then they changed the rules, and now it's not a planet. So that might be interesting to folks. It's kind of sad in a way.
Oh, very sad. Pluto got demoted. But, grammatically, it's still a planet. It's called a dwarf planet now, right?
Right.
And dwarf, if I remember my parts of speech, is an adjective. Planet is the noun. So it's still a planet. It's just a dwarf planet.
Yeah, but the other planets don't want to play with it.
Yeah, well, I did look for images online. And I asked for a solar system. The solar system stops at Neptune. Doesn't show Pluto and any of the other really, I think, interesting things that are out there. So we need to kind of talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
All right. So Pluto, I guess Pluto was discovered in 1930, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It was theorized. Percival Lowell, a wealthy Bostonian amateur astronomer, started the Lowell Observatory, and he theorized.
In Arizona?
That's in Arizona, and he theorized that there was another planet out there past Neptune, because the orbits of Uranus and Neptune were a little wobbly. So he theorized where this planet X was, and he started a search for it. He gave up the search. He died in 1916, and the search for Planet X didn't resume until 1929, where the then director of the Lowell Observatory, assigned a young man, 23 years old, Clyde Tombaugh, to search for the planet. And he found it by taking plates, comparing the plates, and noticed that this object in space was moving in an orbital way, and it was round. So he found Planet X.
That's kind of amazing to me. I mean, back in the day, to think you could find Pluto was really far away, right? It's almost 4 billion miles away.
No, it's 200
from the sun.
Yeah, it's 3.7 billion miles away. Yes.
Is that close enough to 4?
Yes, it is. It is.
And it has
Three.
Kind of an elliptical orbit too, I think. So some days it's a little further, and some days it's a little closer.
Yes.
It takes a couple hundred and 230 some years to actually orbit the sun.
Yes, 238 Earth years to go around the sun. So the last time it was in this position was where it is now, was 238 years ago. Well, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, that was before my time.
Yeah.
May not look like it. Anyway, so, and Pluto is relatively small, and it's just amazing they found it. It's about 20% the size by volume, I guess, of the Earth.
Yes.
It's smaller than Mars, and so it was that was, I guess, the last solar system body in a way that as a planet anyhow that was discovered, because we certainly knew about some of the other planets long before that.
It's interesting how it got its name too. There was a sort of a contest, and this little girl named Venetia Burley from Oxford, England, suggested the name Pluto. One of the reasons was the god of hell, Hades, was the Roman version of that. But it also, the first two initials was PL, Percival Lowell. So that's what they picked.
Yeah, well, and that's when Walt Disney named his dog Pluto.
That's right.
His dog character, right, in 1930 or 31, something like that.
Right. So it's probably not a coincidence.
Maybe there's kind of a connection there.
Because Pluto was then in the news because this new planet was found out there, and people were very excited about it.
Yeah, he had to name that dog something besides Rover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little more creative. So anyway, I think, one of the things that I think is really interesting is the New Horizons spacecraft that NASA sent out there to do a flyby of Pluto.
Right.
And it took maybe 10 years. I got some notes here. I don't even see it.
Yeah, I think it actually flew by Pluto in 2015. Of course, by that time, Pluto was not considered a planet anymore.
Yeah, well, that happened in 2006, right?
Right.
How long did it take New Horizons, that's the spacecraft, and that was at the time the very fastest spacecraft ever launched. It took 9 years, 5 months, and 25 days. And there's a video on the NASA website that shows the flyby of Pluto. And I think they flew by the moon, one of the moons, Charon,
yeah.
They flew by one of the 5 moons of Pluto. I guess that's the largest one, and they got some video of that. And it took like 16 months to fully transmit all the data back to NASA headquarters because of such a far distance, and I guess they really didn't have a whole lot of bandwidth back then. So I think that was a real accomplishment. And we haven't talked about, the Kuiper Belt either, which is part of the downfall of Pluto as a planet.
Well, the Kuiper Belt is a belt of asteroids and other objects, rocks, space rocks, and in around its or they orbit the sun, and it's out
But
there
beyond, well,
beyond.
it
It's
takes
beyond,
Pluto and then
yeah.
goes out a lot further.
Right, and Pluto is in the Kuiper Belt. So in 2006, the International Astronomical Union defined what a planet was, and they had three criteria, and those were
Well, the first one was it had to orbit the sun, and the second was it had to have enough mass to be formed into a round-shaped planet, and the third one was it had to clear the orbit, which means that there couldn't be any other bodies close by. It either had to bump them out or absorb them in some way. So the fact that there's so much stuff out there in the Kuiper Belt, I guess, is what disqualifies Pluto at this point. But if you took Pluto and put it where Mars is, and you took Mars out and put it where Pluto is, then Pluto would be a planet.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I also theorize that the reason there's so much stuff in the way of the orbit of Pluto is because it takes Pluto so long to circle the sun.
Well, that's because it's so far out there.
Correct.
But if there's so much junk out there, I think that's considered to be primordial, what should we call it, material that forms our solar system.
Right.
And that if you looked at it, you'd see how the Earth might have been like 4 billion years ago, because it hasn't changed, and it's mostly like icy rocks, I guess, and maybe some other stuff. But the other thing is that the New Horizons mission kept flying into the Kuiper Belt. He was a Dutch guy, I think, or a Dutch-American astronomer that discovered it, by the way. And there's another rock out there that Pluto, that is part of the Kuiper Belt, that the New Horizons mission actually flew toward, and I think they may have they took a video or at least some pictures of that.
Was that Cirrus?
It's now called Askaroth.
Okay.
Let me just see.
Oh, yes.
Arakoth.
Yes.
And that's actually an Indian name from around from Maryland and Virginia area, as far as I know. And it's the most distant primitive object that a spacecraft has ever approached, right? And has ever explored, let's say. And this thing is, it was discovered in June of 2014. They didn't even know it was there when the mission, the New Horizons mission, actually launched. And it's 22 miles long. It's 12 miles wide, okay, and about 6 miles deep, thick. And by all our standards, that's a pretty small thing. And being at least 4 billion miles away, that they could actually, with all that distance and time and everything, direct the spacecraft and navigate it to be that close, I think is an outstanding accomplishment. And, we need to give NASA a lot of credit for the things it has been able to do over the years. So with that, I don't know if there's much we can add. So I think maybe we'll sign off on this one, unless you got some great words of interest to folks here.
Well, this topic was truly out of this world.
Yeah, for sure.
Charlie, many women have approached me and said that bald is sexy.
A lot of women, huh?
Yeah, a lot of women, at least
right,
two.
well.
And it is sexy. And bald is in. Bald is really in.
It's a new thing. I mean, it's the new masculinity, sign of masculinity.
Yes, men are shaving their heads.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those guys walking around.
Absolutely,
big muscle guys.
Yeah,
with the tight T-shirts.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I think we
need a little help, maybe.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Some men, get a little chafed by shaving all the time.
Yeah.
But we have a product, a new sponsor. It's called Hair Bear, and it removes all the hair from your head without shaving.
Now that's pretty amazing.
It is amazing, and This is our mascot.
You just put it on, or do you drink the stuff?
No, you put it on.
Okay.
And it has a very pleasant honeydew melon scent.
Okay.
So not only can you look like a honeydew, you can smell like one too.
Oh.
See how
yes.
smooth your head will be?
Yeah.
And this really turns on the girls. And
So take it from us, huh?
take it from us.
All right.
Because we're not only spokespeople,
We're actually using it. So with that, thanks for paying attention, and hopefully this was more a digestible length, and that you found it really interesting.
and there'll be a quiz next period.
That's right.